Well, hi there, and happy Mother's Day to everybody today. This is quite a difficult subject to tackle today, and that's regarding our loved ones, our children. The subject I'm going to try and tackle today is about the separation between mothers and fathers to their children. Having helped many souls along a journey of great difficulty at this time, it is one which has many implications, because there is no right and wrong, there is no set rules or patterns or answers to be able to follow that will resolve any of these given situations that are in our life at this moment. So you, as a soul going through the challenges that you are doing at this moment, are very personal to you. And yes, of course, you can meet people with similar circumstances, but the truth is you never truly know what effect you had on your children, or what effect the people around you had on your journey at this moment in time for that very separation. So what I'm basically talking about is the fact that some people out there, their children just don't want to know them, again, for one reason or another. They don't want to be part of their life. And you've got to look at it from all angles rather than just say, well, this is right and wrong. I often talk about my father as a great example as a son, that I spent very little time in and around his company because I chose to, because of the pain and suffering that he caused me. And people often say, well, you can't have been that strong if you didn't forgive your father and you weren't with him and you weren't there at the very end. And I say, you have to understand it from a personal point of view. My challenge, as I felt, was that my dad could never show love in the way that I would have wanted, but that's my issue, not his. I did respect his path, and if I would have continued seeing him, I would have consistently had this barrage of negativity, unappreciated energy, anger, frustration, and a lot of sadness. So for me, I made a decision that, you know what, my dad's my dad. I love him in my own way, but you know what, small doses, arm's length. So I chose that path. So from a perspective of you coming to me saying, why is this happening? Why is my children not coming to see me? Well, from my perspective and from what happened in my life, it was because of how my dad was. And I decided not to become an emotional punch bag for his weaknesses. Now, that said, a lot of people, well, the truth is, when you come here and you sit down, you're in tears, and I start to get down to the truth to it, what we normally find is that when we look back at what actions we took, a lot of the time it has, sorry, I've just been painting outside. A lot of the time it has something to do with what we could have done or said or not done and not said. And that's a hard one. That's a hard one, because what we're saying is we have to look at ourselves and see what we did. Now, my dad couldn't have done that. That was impossible for my father, and I knew that. I knew there would never come a day that he would come to me and love me and say, you know, I'm proud of you, you're an amazing guy, I'm sorry for how I treat you, can we become friends? And that would never have happened, because my dad was my dad, and that's how he was, and he loved me in his own way. And that way doesn't mean that it wasn't love in as much of a powerful way as what I wanted. It was just the only way he could love. So again, I didn't feel as if I was weak. I just felt that I accepted him and let him move on. So we have to look at ourselves and see, as parents, what do we do and how do we react at any given moment? Well, for me, when we start looking at that, we start to realise that possibly we do react a little bit too much, and we do sort of like, go on. And for me, it's a case of when I speak to, mothers and fathers, it's a case of, and always have this there for them whenever they need you. When a child wants our guidance, they'll come to us, ask us, and if not, they'll find somebody else. And that clears a lot of ego away when you really put that in perspective. You see, a lot of mothers and fathers believe that their children are there for us to teach them and tell them what they should do and what they shouldn't do, when in truth, I believe that can sometimes be really, really forceful, and it can really cause a lot of issue in family. And of course, the judgment energy, that's shocking. We judge our children, and we do it because we love them, and we think we want you to be a better me. And all of these things where when you step out of the box and you look at the bigger picture, the spiritual picture, your children are here not only for us to help share what we've learned in a loving way and not a forceful way, but they're here to show us what we should do and how we should behave. So I often say to my clients, do you know what the best thing to do is now that if there's a separation between you and your children? Step back, trust, believe, let them be, send them a message now and again saying that you love them and you care, and maybe you've decided that you may have made some errors in your path and mistakes, but it was only because you loved them and you cared for them, and now you realize that was something that's your journey and you have to learn that. But I just want you to know that I'm proud of you every day. I love you every day, and the day that you ever want to step back into my life, if that ever happens, I will promise to be more of a loving, kind, caring person, free from judgment. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and just enjoy the moments that we're together. And whatever you go through, whoever you're with, whatever you're doing, whatever it is, I'll always support you, always, no matter what, because I realize that this is your journey of life, and I have to respect that, and I will respect it. So one little beautiful message like that to them opens up a beautiful doorway for your children to say, wow, my mum or my dad's going to be free from judgment. They're just going to allow me, and they actually said that they trust and believe in me. It's a good thing. And we continue to send nice messages, small ones, but nothing more than that. Just little messages saying I love you and I think of you every day. And I miss you like mad. And I dream of the day that we can sit and have a coffee together and a laugh. And we keep sending little messages, and over the 11 years, I can tell you of hundreds of stories of beautiful souls who have said to me, my child will never speak to me again. In fact, my first teacher, that was what I told her, that her daughter would come back to her inner life, and she did, and she looked after her till the last moments, and I was so pleased about that. So pleased. No matter what she did to me, I was so happy that they got back together and she had a daughter. That touched my heart. And many men, many, hundreds of men saying that I'll never see my child again. One day I get a message with a picture of them both together. A mother and father who's a mother and daughter who completely opposites, who fight, and then one day I get a picture of them too, and it's beautiful because the mothers change their way. They change their perception of life. They change their thoughts and feelings into trust. Finished are the days of judgment, but trust and love. Do you know, I often say, looking back of how you may have treated your child because you were so worried about them, now that they're not in your life, what would you have done differently? Would it have been more beautiful if you wouldn't have said anything, but just say, look, I'm here for you, I love you, I'm here every day for you, I've got this shoulder ready for you. But unless you ask me what you really want to know, what I feel, I will never say anything. But I trust you. Wouldn't you have thought that that might have been a better path to take? And often they say, well, probably I couldn't have done it because of what I saw and felt. But now that I know that I haven't seen my child in so long, yes, it would probably have been a better decision. So then we've learned. We've grown. Yay! So now we move on. And we see ourselves together with our children one day, and we start a new journey today of sending a written letter or a message on social media to them in a private inbox, in just the way I've tried to help share with you. Now listen, this is only one situation. There's thousands that, there's no way that could happen, but I suppose my end message today is this. Whatever you're going through, and whatever circumstances they are, even if it means that somebody's stopping you from seeing your child, let me tell you something. The bigger picture is always that sometimes our children need to find their journey without a father or a mother sometimes at part of their life, to one day rejoice in meeting you again and saying, I'm so glad now that we've come together again. So space and time have no effect. What you must do is trust that everything will be well, and no matter what, one day you will join together and have a most beautiful life. So you become like brothers or sisters, and you just have a great life together. But that to me is the most important thing. Never give up. Never give up, and just simply say, you know what? When that moment's right, it will happen. And that's what you trust in. That's the important thing. And it will. And miracles do happen. And today, if you're watching this, from my heart to yours, I know your miracle will happen soon. Because you are a good soul, and you've learned, and you've grown stronger. And you will not allow the fears of life, of your past, and of your mother and father, and their mother and father, that you've broken the mold. So you've become a better soul. That's what's important. So I wish you a lovely day. I really hope it may have meant something to you today. And I know that miracles happen. I see them every day with the coming together of our children. That's it. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Thank you for subscribing to markbielski.com. Have a lovely day.